And you get to goof off like that on a small, lightweight bike. It's just good fun. Woo! Alright, what is up, everybody? It's Easter weekend. Hope everybody's having a good Easter. And we'll just jump right into it. I wanted to go over a few of the reasons that I got the XT225 and reasons I think you or anyone else should consider it as well. So, first off, this is a second bike for me, and if you've got any experience as a rider, this probably wouldn't be a great first bike for you. Well, if you've got experience as a rider, it wouldn't be your first bike anyway. Kind of contradicting myself, but if you're going to have one bike in the stable and you've got experience riding, an XT225 might not be the best for you unless you're coming up from something smaller. But here are some of the reasons that I got it and reasons that maybe you should consider as well. So for me, it's a second bike, and as a second bike, I don't need something that's superior on the highway. So therefore, a small displacement, air-cooled, low-power bike is not going to be a problem for me because, like I said, I'm not going to be doing a lot of highway riding. The bike is capable of maintaining, with me on it, 5'7", 170 pounds. It is capable of maintaining 65, maybe even 70. I've ran it at 65 for miles, and it's fine. But it wouldn't be a great, bike to have in the stable if that's the only bike you can have in the stable. That'd be one reason you might not want to consider it. Another reason that I like the bike is for solo riding like I'm doing today. I'm just out running around by myself. I'm not trail riding, but I mean it would apply to trail riding as well. But if you are someone who doesn't have a lot of friends to ride with, or you just choose to go out riding by yourself, often having a lighter weight, lower seat height machine is always going to be a plus. Like I said, trail riding or not trail riding doesn't matter. You can manhandle the bike if you need to, if you find yourself in a sticky situation. Aside from getting hurt, I don't see a real scenario where I would have to leave this bike behind and go on foot, just because of the situation I'm in, outside of it breaking down or something. If I'm off trail riding, I go down a hill I shouldn't have went down, or I get stuck in some mud, you can just manhandle the bike out. There's not very many bikes you can do that with anymore that are true Dualsports. We're not talking about like a Honda Grom that someone's taking off-road or something like that. But a true Dualsport, there's not many of them under 250 pounds. Yamaha claims this thing weighs like 239 or 236 or something. So, pretty lightweight bike. You can manhandle it around if you need to. The engine is very good for its displacement in two different ways. One, it's got plenty of motor to be able to keep up with like your C-class rider if you're out riding trails and stuff. I mean, really, that just comes down to the rider more than the bike. If you put Carson Brown on this thing, he's going to make me just look childishly slow. So the 80-20 rule is always in effect. It's not so much about the bike as it is the rider. But it does have enough motor to get you along plenty fast enough, while simultaneously it's mellow, it's smooth, it's 18 horsepower. It's not going to get away from you. It's not going to be too much for you to learn on. And things like that. Which brings me right into the next point, and that is, if it's an extra bike, it's nice having an extra bike that you can loan to somebody who may not be that experienced. So again, low seat height, lightweight. You know, if I had a buddy or family member or a friend or whoever who wanted to go for a little ride, I could jump on my V-Strom, they could jump on this, and we could go cruise some back roads, and I don't have to worry about the bike getting away from somebody who's not experienced or maybe who is short like I am. You know, you put me on a full-size motocross bike, I'm fine. You put somebody that has very little experience on a full-size motocross bike, just the height of it would maybe have them out of sorts, much less the fact it's got 60 horsepower. So the engine has its pluses for both not having a lot of power and for also making decent power for its displacement. A DR200, similar in displacement, 200 cc's, 199. Nowhere close to the same amount of power. I think they've got 12 horsepower. I know Suzuki, if you Google it, Suzuki claims 20. They ain't got 20 horsepower. If they've got 20, it's at the crank, it's not at the wheel. So having something like this to be able to loan out to people is always going to be a plus. Alright, and probably the last thing I might end on here is just going to be a rapid fire of some of the positives of the XT225. You know, there's a tons of things you could mention. You know, parts availability. These bikes were around for a long time. You can get parts for them. A lot of the parts off a TTR 225 and 230 are very similar. So a lot of parts, from what I've read, can be interchanged if you're having a hard time finding XT225 parts specifically. But they've been around for a long time. They're bulletproof. When something does go wrong, it should be easy to fix, and you should be able to find parts for it. But the bike itself is, in my opinion, the best 250cc or smaller air-cooled Dualsport I've ever ridden. There may be some better ones out there, or some that are, you know, on the same level as this, but between the low seat height, the high ground clearance. Alright, and as I was saying, between the low seat height, the high ground clearance, the engine making the power that it does and how it makes it smooth and controllable. The bike also has a no linkage rear swing arm, so nothing to mess up on the bottom if you are pushing the bike hard off-road as far as the rear suspension and dog bones go, because there are no dog bones. You've also got a full-size wheel combo, 21 in the front, 18 in the back. Those rims are also aluminum. I assume they're all that way. Mine are that way. Mine are aluminum. Rear has a rim lock. Don't know if that's stock or not on my bike, but it does have one. That's a good plus. You got the 6-speed transmission, still carbureted, so for some people that's a negative, for some people that's a positive. Just depends on how you look at it. So the bike has a lot going for it. Some Dualsports that are, you know, CRF 300. I don't know if that bike specifically runs an 18-inch rear, but some of these more like street bike Dualsport combos, like the CRF, for example, has an engine out of a CBR 300 in it. So it's not like they just converted an existing dirt bike. Some of these bikes can run 17-inch rears, which nothing really inherently wrong with that, but again, just pointing out this bike does come with a full-size wheel set. It's not perfect. There's some things that need to be done to it. Foot pegs definitely need to be upgraded. I've just upgraded mine to the DMO specialty foot pegs. That is a giant world of difference. And we got a tree down blocking the creek crossing. I don't even know if I'll be able to go on after I get up right here. get across right here. Oh, and I got nice jeans on. E. This is kind of what I was talking about though. If I was out exploring on something like my V-Strom, I'd just have to turn around right here. There'd be no seeing if I could get on across this creek. I definitely wouldn't be doing stuff like that. That was extremely muddy. Alright, I'm all kind of discombobulated, but that's a perfect example. If you're out exploring around, even if you've got, I mean, I'm not the best rider, but I mean, I can ride. I've been doing it for 31 years old, and I got my first bike when I was 6. You do the math. 25 years I've been riding. I couldn't have done that on my V-Strom, and I don't care how it was kitted out. Like, you could have the knobbiest, I could be running the knobbiest tires on it, and I could maybe do it on my V-Strom. The difference is I'm not going to. So that is a perfect example why having a good smaller Dualsport in the stable as a second bike, if you're into riding off-road and ADV type riding, it's just perfect for it. So, in my opinion. So anyway, I'll just leave this here. That was fun. But like I said, if I'd have been on some other bike, I may have just had to turn around. I probably would have turned around right there on just about every bike I've ever owned that wasn't something small like this. You know, KLR, I probably would have turned around. DR650, I could have probably tackled it. But you never know. Woo! And you get to goof off like that on a small, lightweight bike. It's just good fun.